Welcome to the podcast. Now that I'm engaged, how do I get married? I'm your host, Kevin Dennis.
And I'm August Joker, co-host and brand manager at Fantasy Sound Event Services.
In addition to leading the charge at Wedding IQ, I also run Fantasy Sound Event Services, a lighting and entertainment company based in Livermore, California, that I founded over 35 years ago.
Each week on this podcast, we'll explore a new corner of wedding planning so you can prepare for your I-dos without the stress.
From budgeting to booking vendors to the day of drama.
Let's talk smart wedding planning.
All right, folks, welcome to another episode of Now That I'm Engaged, How Do I Get Married? We have the one and only Sara Landon with us from Sara Landon Events. Sara, how you doing today?
Hi, it's so nice to meet you guys. I'm so happy to be here.
Great. We love it. Okay, so we're going to be talking about choosing the big three. So before we get into that, Sara, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how we got you here today?
Absolutely. Well, I'm a wedding planner, so that's a good start. I'm based in New York City. I've had my company for about 12 years. I like to think I'm a really good time, so it tends to work out really well for me in planning because we are planning celebrations. And I'm here because I know a lot about planning and the big three and how to get kicked off once you're engaged.
I love it. And I love that you said you're a good time because it sounds like you're going to make it fun for them when they're planning their wedding. So
I think so.
All
I
right.
have a track record, so I
love
roll
it.
with that.
I love it. All right. So couples hear about the big three early in planning, but what does that actually mean, Sara?
Oh man, the big three. Now, every time I do a kickoff, we start with the big three. And that means once you're engaged, are the first three things that once they're booked, they cannot do more than one wedding in a day. Now, every time someone gets engaged, they get so excited. They're like, oh my God, flowers. And like, I love purple. But I have to remind people to take a seat a little bit. No one's picking flowers tomorrow. And let's take it back a step. So for me, I tend to think of the big three as your venue, photo, video, and entertainment. Of course, if you come to me with a venue, then we can, flex a little bit on what your third thing is. But I kind of put photo video in one category, even if sometimes it is two different companies.
No, yeah. And I think you kind of touched on it a little bit, but just prioritizing. So when you meet with a couple, is this typically what you tell them first? Obviously we're picking our priorities for planning, but I also just need to let you know, these vendors are going to go fast, and these are definitely ones that we want to book first and up front.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Everyone's priorities are a little bit different. Just like everything else, no two weddings are the same. So if I were to try to put every couple into some little planner box where everything was exactly the same and we never deviated, what a fool's errand. Because every celebration is so unique and every couple is so unique and their story is unique and who they are as people. So on our first call, I really, I'm like, give me everything. Give me your brain dump of stuff. How are you feeling? And some people come to me like, well, my mom said this and my best friend did that. And my sister, is over here saying this, that, and the other thing. And I'm like, okay, we're people who take a lot of feedback, whether we accept it or not. And then some people come to me and they're like, I don't know. I just thought this venue was cool because it has brick in it. Cool. Okay. Well, we know nothing. And that's also cool. We start from anywhere. I produced over 400 weddings. So there's not a lot of things that you can throw at me and I'm surprised by. But there is an element to this as you're choosing your big three where sometimes, because there is so much information out there from Pinterest to Instagram to TikTok to, God, people still use Facebook. Pick your source and your best friend who got married last year that we fall into a category called paralysis by analysis, where I go, hey guys, we're going to spend the first month picking out your photographer and they spend a month just Googling on Instagram. I'm like, whoa. Let's look at 5. So I tell people, come to me on this brain dump of telling me everything. I do get a sense of who they are and how they work. So I can work with each couple independently of how their brain is going to work and what really feeds them because I'm joining a relationship. And then I can go, why don't you show me a picture that you like? It doesn't even have to be two people getting married. And if I see it's high fashion or, blurred imagery or very classic, I can put them in a world of where I think they're going to be photographically and start to show them photographers and probably narrow this down to 3 or 5 that then fits their budget. The way I look at the big three is I want it to fit your budget, the date, and your
Hmm.
personality, especially with the band and photo video. Those are the people you're kind of around the most. Your band,
Yeah.
you gotta feel like that band rocks. And if you're a DJ, same thing. You need to make sure your DJ really understands your vision, which is why we start early.
I've had brides like brides at a wedding that are upset with the photographer, and I had one time tell me, "Hey, can you make sure they don't talk to me anymore throughout and
Oh
I'm like,
God.
"Well, oh, okay." And so
Yeah.
then I'm having to run interference, but because they
Hmm.
didn't do their homework, because you spend so much
Yeah.
time with them on the day of, you got to make sure you connect with these
You
folks.
kind of run into like an interesting uh do you gatekeep or do you not? Because
Yeah.
there's two different kind of worlds where like if you don't gatekeep, all of a sudden information is flying. You're like, what? What do you mean you think your photo is starting 30 minutes for your ceremony? Like, do you know what we're doing? Like, you have like 3 hours of photography happening. If you're not
Yeah.
paying attention as a planner. Meanwhile, gatekeeping too much can keep that relationship from fostering, and your photographer doesn't know what to accept, and your couple isn't happy with the photos, then nobody's happy because you didn't let them get to know each other. So there has
Yeah.
to be like a middle ground. And that is why, like, for example, if I have a couple who is, really Brooklyn and like I know they're kind
Hmm.
of introverted or, maybe they smoke a lot of weed. Like I don't know what they're really into. I'm probably gonna match them with someone that they feel like they can vibe with. Maybe someone who also lives in Brooklyn or at least like it has like a hipstery vibe. Sorry everyone if I'm like deciding for
Offending anyone.
the
That's
hipster.
okay.
But but yeah, so like matching those personalities can be really helpful because then they can get each other a little bit better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I get
And
it.
Kevin here is a DJ, and I know that they always say, and what they tell everyone is, it's not really about like his music style or what music like Kevin
Yeah.
likes. Because
Yeah.
Kevin can play any type of music. It's like, do you vibe with Kevin with his
Oh man, and
personality?
Kevin, I really feel for you on that one because so many times, especially when it comes to DJs, and I'm sorry I started with bands. No
Yeah.
disrespect.
No, no,
No,
Best
I
DJs
no,
in the
no.
world.
We love
But
bands too.
I got the hardest thing is being like, "Do you like this DJ?" Like, "Well, I don't like that song they played like 3 minutes into their reel." It wasn't it was just like a SoundCloud of like how they mix music together
It's
and they just
funny. I
can't.
stopped doing that for that
Oh my
very
god.
reason. People
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
I found my bookings went up because
Mhm.
people like for that very reason what you just
Yep.
said there. They don't like that song, so therefore I don't want to hire that
Right.
DJ.
And I was
Meanwhile, I'm there to play whatever song you want.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
I tell people, "Why don't you just" well, like, "Well, how do I know if I'm gonna like this person?" "Well, why don't you have a conversation and let's see how it goes?"
well, and just my last wedding that I did last weekend, they were Chinese, and I played a lot of
Mhm.
Chinese songs at the wedding that
Nice.
I'm gonna be honest with you, they gave me the list,
Yeah,
and I played it and I had to play them from the list because I don't have a lot of Chinese, but
right.
if someone would think I play a lot of Chinese
Well, and
music,
with
I
that
would.
said, I mean, I know this from my DJ friends in the world of like, when there's international music, I have a Russian wedding coming up, and one of my DJs was like, "I've listened to that song like 16 times just to see like how can I mix it into 16 different scenarios if
Yeah.
it's not working or if it is
Wow.
working, and how it can go to the next piece so we don't lose everyone on the dance floor."
What it always cracks me up too is sometimes you'll because I go through and kind of preview the music. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
this one doesn't kind of sound like really good. But then someone comes up and goes, "Can you play that one song?" And I play it and they lose their mind. I'm like, what do I know about Chinese
Yeah.
music?
Yeah, like who knew?
Yeah,
That was the,
that was the
jam.
jam. So, and you learn as you go on some of this stuff. All right. So
Totally.
getting back to the big three.
Yes, 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 yes. So
So
go
right
ahead.
now I feel like there are a lot of people that are taking too long to book
Mm,
their vendors and
yeah.
Mhm.
maybe it's because they're looking at too many or because it's a last minute wedding, but what happens if a couple waits too long to book one of the big three?
Everyone's sort of on their own planning adventure. And I do find that priorities shift couple to couple. I, of course, always try to push for making those decisions fast, but sometimes it's just not people's priority. Like, I had a couple who was like, we actually don't really give a shit about.
No.
I hope I'm not for this. I'm sorry. I don't even
Yeah.
know if I am. But
No, I
well,
love
we
it.
don't care. We don't give a shit about your photos. You don't care about your photos? Like, these are your memories. Like,
That's
yeah,
really weird,
fine.
actually. Yeah.
It was the wildest thing to me. They're like, "Yeah, whoever we choose, we choose." I was like, all right, well, why don't you tell me what is important? They're like, we are so excited about cake. Wow. Okay. Well, your wedding's in like 10 months. So sure, let's go taste cake because that was their thing. And that was they're so important. It's so important. But
Mhm.
in terms of how fast to book and how not fast to book, I mean, there's a lot of things that come into play, like how hot is your date? So
Mm,
if you're getting married, I mean, I'll choose, for example, October 10th. Oh, God, no. October 10, 2026 is going to be a big date. But right
Mhm.
now, the date that is like the hottest date of 2026 is October 3rd, 2026.
mm.
Wow. The amount of inquiries I have received is
Really?
unbelievable.
That's like the Mean
So
Girls Day, right?
it
October
might be.
3rd.
Oh, God. I
Yeah.
think so. I've seen it like 400 times. That might be it. There's some sort of like psychological connection to October 3rd.
Yeah.
But with that said, uh, as soon as I booked that date, I went, all right, I know this date's going to be important. So we're going to push hard for everything. But then I have another
Yeah.
couple who's booking a Sunday in August. I don't want to say nobody cares, but like August is not like a big hot
Yeah.
time, hot time here, but like it's not a big popular time of year. And
Mhm.
we have had no problem. So I haven't really answered your question about booking, but
No, but I
priority
like the
wise,
segue.
yeah, I mean, big segue. But priority wise, if your priority is not in something, then it doesn't matter. But if you have
Yeah.
priorities for the best DJ, or the best band, or the best photographer, then yeah, you got to get right out of the gate with those decisions because they can only do one wedding in a day, or you have to be okay with your options if you decide to wait.
Yeah, and I've
Now,
had couples come back and say like, "Oh, I'm on option like, D, I've worked all the way down, because for my photographer because the other 3 that I was looking at got booked." And I'm like, sometimes I think you got to go with your gut and if it's feeling right, and even though cuz I've had that happen to me. Hey, we met with another person and we just booked them on the spot, and cuz
yeah,
and good for you cuz you obviously weren't my couple, kind of thing. And
Mhm.
it just, I love that if it's in your gut, it feels right and, you mesh, I think you gotta go.
absolutely, 100%. It's
Yeah.
our industry is so personality driven because when it gets to the wedding day, and God, like as a planner, we're the ones dealing with in the trenches ahead of time of every
Yeah.
family being like under the sun. By the time we get there, we're like, I'm half the time I'm just trying to be like, we are in it now. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
here's everything that's happening. These people hate each other, these people love each other. I don't know why these people are here.
Yeah.
Uh, but aside from that, you're coming in fresh faced, bushy tailed. Like, you have to really feel connected to these couples for better or worse for 10 to 12 hours that
Oh,
day.
yeah.
That connection has to be strong. So, whether you're waiting later to book somebody or not, especially when it comes to people that you're going to see in front of your face most of the day. I mean, even hair and makeup, dear Lord, when you wake up in the morning,
Yeah.
if you're not a morning person, it's 9 a.m. and you're sitting there with a coffee, be like, great, I'm here for 2 hours for hair and makeup. You better like your makeup artist because she's the one holding the pencil close to your eye. So,
Yeah, no
Oh my
kidding.
god,
And some
yeah.
of some of these couples we're dealing with are getting up at 4 or 5 in the morning to do their makeup.
oh, often if I have an
Yeah.
Indian wedding where we
Yep.
have a Hindu ceremony earlier and a Catholic ceremony
Mhm.
later, like, yeah, I had a bride start at 3 o'clock in the morning with her hair and makeup.
Yeah.
And fun fact, highly recommend get yourself a neck pillow like for the airport because then
Oh,
you can like
Oh.
sit there and just close your eyes and reset and it doesn't mess up
yeah.
everything that's going on.
I
Oh
love
my
that.
god, that's
Good
such a good
advice.
tip. I love that. Yeah, but I feel like anyone listening, they're kind of taking this as like the stories you guys are telling, a cautionary tale
Oh,
to start booking that big 3 early on.
yeah. If you're
But for
not good at
any
staying sorry, like, if you're not good at
No,
staying
go
awake
ahead.
like, this is my biggest advice for someone. If you are on an average day not good at staying awake for 20 hours, don't do that. Don't
Yeah.
start your hair and makeup at 6 o'clock in the morning, expect to go to your after party until 4 a.m. You're not going to,
Ugh,
and it's gonna be
Yeah.
terrible.
yeah, that's gonna
Anyway,
be me
keep
Yeah.
for
it fun.
sure. Ain't gonna
Well, and it's
happen.
a lot of couples are planning these marathon weddings and they don't realize that not everyone is in, like they're not gonna make it to the
They're
end.
not
So
training for
Exactly,
it.
no.
exactly. Yeah,
No,
So
yeah. So if any couples are just getting engaged because right now we are in a
yeah,
big
it's engagement
engagement
season.
season, and they're feeling overwhelmed, where would you recommend they start with which big 3 to book first?
I mean, if you don't have a venue, you don't have a date. So your venue
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
absolutely your number one priority. It's really important when you're venue searching that it's not always apples to apples. If you're looking at a raw space, which is just ceiling, floor, windows, versus a place that has catering included, those are really different numbers. Um,
Mhm.
you never want to be in a place where your food, beverage, and venue is more than 50% of your budget. That's a good baseline. Is
Mhm.
50% of your budget food, beverage, venue? Because then your staff, all of that's bartenders, all of that's included there. Because then that leaves you 50% of your budget for everything else. Of course, if you want to hang orchids from the ceiling, maybe you should reevaluate your budget, but and how much you have. There's obviously a lot of factors, but you have to
Yeah.
start with your venue because you cannot book anybody else if you don't have a venue because you don't have a date.
Mhm.
And it's so funny how many people will send in inquiries, like,
Oh my
to
God.
our company, like, you hear it from your vendor friends, yeah, how are you supposed to book anyone if they don't know their own availability?
Yeah, I mean, people come to me. I mean, obviously, as a planner, like there's a lot of people come to me without dates. And so
Yeah.
I have a contingency in place. Like, hey, sure, I know you're looking at October. Guess what? I've already booked October 3rd and October 10th, but we can look in October for you. But here's what happens if you book a date I'm not available. Now, I personally
Mhm.
have a big team. I have 12 people that work for me. So, and there's always, oh, dear Lord, what if I fell in the East River? Like, what happened? So there are always contingencies in place as a planner. We
Yeah.
all lived through the COVID era. Well, I mean, not all of us, like I did, but
Mhm.
Mhm.
I went through this. I already had my company. I know what happens. I had fail safes in place should an emergency situation happen. So when 2021 hit and we got slammed with everything that had been postponed for 2020, there were weekends where we were doing as many as 3 weddings in one day. And I had 3
Yeah.
Wow.
teams in 3 cities or 3 towns or 3 parts of town running
Yeah.
different pieces.
Oh,
So I know that we are dialed in and can take that on. But that is very rare and it takes a lot of focus and experience to be able to pull off something that big.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't like to
that's
talk
a
about
true
COVID.
marathon for sure.
Yeah, but you know what? At least I
Yeah.
know I can do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
happened to be the WIPA national president when
Yeah.
COVID was going on, and so we were doing the state of the wedding industry, and so the New York president was on there, I was on there, we had the Southern California, and we would just our states and even Washington, we were so locked down compared, and then you have Utah, they were only like 60, 70 days into the pandemic. We're back doing wedding, like, and it's just
yeah.
like,
Like,
yeah,
sounds
we
great.
we literally went almost in an entire year in
I
between
know, I remember.
events.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
Yeah.
may that never
anyway.
happen to any of us again or any of you wonderful
Oh,
people listening to this, but know that we got you. Like, if shit goes
yeah.
down, like,
Yeah.
we know what to do. We got this. We've done this
But in
before.
case it
We
does, yeah, we've lived
Yeah,
it
we
mhm.
and we
got
can
this.
do it again.
Yeah.
So when it comes to like planners, some people
Yeah.
ask me like, what makes you different? And I asked my associate that once. I was like, I don't know, what makes me different? And she's like, you're kind of like the big sister who's done this.
Yeah.
And I like that. I'm
Oh,
not like the mom.
yes.
I'm not like the cool mom. I'm like the big sister who's like, "Well, fuck, we got this. Like, let me tell
Yeah.
you what's up.
I love
You
that.
were
Um,
the
That's a good
guinea
one.
pig before and now it's safe to continue.
yeah,
Yeah,
as a
yeah.
person who's never been married, but like has produced 400 weddings, I got this.
I
Mhm.
love it. All right. So Sarah, what mistakes do couples or do you see couples make when they book other vendors before looking at the big 3?
It's really budget driven. I find often
Oh.
Mhm.
that they get really excited about something and blow a big budget number in a place that maybe wasn't the best investment for the perhaps the budget they're trying to hit overall. So that can
Mm.
happen, and it happens quite a bit. Um, Other mistakes that sometimes come into play is how much time or the expectations of that vendor. So, like for example, Kevin, you're a DJ, so this is something that'll resonate with you. Um, they book the DJ for 4 hours of reception. That's super great. Well, what about your ceremony? What about your cocktail
Mhm.
hour? Well, your ceremony and your cocktail hour and your reception are in 3 totally different places. So, what's our amplification situation?
Yep.
So, those pieces got missed because there wasn't a professional in the room who said, well, we also need these things. They're like, oh, no, it's only going to cost us X dollars. I'm like, well, you better double that now because we need 3 sound systems.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Or they were not honest about their guest count with the company. And they're like, oh no, we're gonna be like 100 people. And all of a sudden you're 250 people. That is a very different amplification than that. And again, same thing. depending on the layout of the space, it's not always a box ballroom where you could put speakers facing out. Sometimes it's a funkier space where you need surround sound. And again, that's a very different expectation.
Yeah. And that happens so many times with couple
Yes. Yes,
or
it does.
they my favorite is they're having 200 guests and they go, "Oh, we don't need anything for the ceremony." And I'm like, "Okay. No one's going to hear you guys, but
No one's
okay."
gonna hear anything.
Or they'll go, "Oh, my venue has a sound system." No, if any venues are listening, love you so much. But sometimes your sound systems are not at the same quality as
Mhm.
perhaps the professional sound systems coming in from a professional company, whether it's a DJ or a band. So you just
Yeah.
need to make sure that those expectations are aligned because guess who's getting, if that sound system comes from the venue, guess who's getting blamed? Your DJ, because your guests don't know that it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
the same sound system. So there are you got to have a professional road who can also, monitor sounds. It's not just a plug and play all the time.
Yeah. I
Yeah, I
agree.
used to work for a venue and we had like a in-house, like not in-house, but just speakers. And we at one point were allowing like corporate events to essentially
Mhm.
use the speakers. But then we got to a point where we weren't allowing it at all because we just couldn't rely on the Wi-Fi to stay on, for the
Yes.
music to play. And I remember there was only one instance where we used the speakers for a ceremony, but it was because the DJ didn't show up, and so
Oh,
we used
jeez.
it, and it was very stressful. But the bride didn't know the whole time. It was crazy, but hopefully a good venue would also, urge you to work
Totally.
with a professional as well.
Totally. And that's another thing. When you ask about sort of mistakes and things people make sometimes, booking a venue and saying, "Oh, it has an event manager, so I'm fine." Well, that
Mhm.
event manager is there to make sure the lights are on, your band knows where to plug in and not blow
Mhm.
power, and that if a guest trips and falls, that they have it on video. So
Yeah.
your your event manager is not there to hold your hand or make sure you're on time for your ceremony or any number of other things aside from the venue. The best way to put it is if beef is burning in the kitchen, where do you think that event manager's attention is going to be? It's not on
Yeah.
you. It's in the kitchen.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you say
Yeah.
that. We probably could do a whole podcast episode on on that right
Baby,
there.
woo!
No,
Well, yeah,
because
and I
I
think it all
think
just comes back to asking questions too, because I think it's
Yes,
different for every venue too.
absolutely. Absolutely.
yeah. So do couples ever regret not prioritizing the big 3?
We have in the past had
Mhm.
a few regrets. Sometimes it's video. Like, well, I don't know if I want video, so I'll just wait. And we
Mm,
do photo and
Mm.
go, okay, well, let's put video on the back burner. And then they realize later they do want the big production, or, maybe they just want to cover the basics and have the raw footage. But there's not a lot of options out there. And for better or worse, sometimes, especially if you're cost conscious, the least expensive vendors often go first. And
yeah.
so
Yeah.
you could back burner it, but then you may not have the least expensive option open to you. It's like, oh, I don't really want to invest in this like in a heavy way. Like, well, you cut out options on that one because everyone who's least expensive is booked. So
Yeah.
kind of if you want to wait, it's kind of like booking a hotel or an airplane flight. Like, once more of them get booked, that price
Yeah.
goes up a little bit.
Well, it's funny that it happened to me the other day, and I was so mad. I'm like, "Why didn't I hit book on the" I was so mad at myself.
Oh my God, same with a flight. I was like, what was I
Yeah.
doing?
Yeah. I'm like, "Idiot." I'm
Well,
always
and I
thinking
know
that to myself.
you mentioned like when we asked the question about like when couples book other vendors other than the big three first it comes to budgeting. So, how do you think couples should approach budgeting when it comes to vendors? Like who can only take, one wedding a day?
Sure, sure. So, I mean, there's a lot of factors that go into your just sort of overall budget. I kind of already mentioned like the roughly half for
Yeah.
your beverage, et cetera. But the rest of it kind of comes into your priorities. So, like, if you're
Yeah.
live and die by photo, I mean, there are photographers in my world. I'm kind of New York City's, and I do weddings all over the world. But I'm going to reference New York City for this moment. There are photographers as low as like 10,000 for the day. I also know photographers who are $55,000 for the day.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
if you are live or die by that $55,000 photographer or even a $35,000 photographer, that is a very different investment than a $10,000 photographer. Um, and if you rip that cord and you book that $55,000, well, you might be in the world where maybe you're doing a DJ instead of a band, where again, a DJ could be $5,000, a band is $35,000.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So that's kind of I think I answered that. Like I think it's kind of like
Oh
where you
yeah, it's
are
No,
just
yeah.
setting the
in terms of
priorities first, and I feel like
your priorities.
that's kind of just the main answer for everything, honestly, is
Yeah,
like you have to set those priorities first, or else you're not going to
for
be able to
sure.
steer the planning at all.
Absolutely. And you know what? Sometimes people come to me, and this is, I love surprises where we have a whole budget sheet. Nowhere on that budget sheet was lounge furniture. And
Yeah.
then I get well, how do we have room in this for lounge furniture? Lounge furniture? Where have you been? Like,
Girl,
Yeah.
no, like we're not like what? Like
That's
you made all
10
these decisions. This budget is like right there. We've got $3,000 left, which is, oh
not enough for
God,
lounge furniture.
looks like you're not getting lounge furniture. Well, I really wanted lounge furniture. You needed to say that. Like, if you have things that you really want,
mhm.
even if you're just in your head of like, oh, I want this, you have to say something or budget for it or at least hold a line. And then if it's not all working, make yourself a nice to have list of like, if I end up,
Mm.
let's say 10 people get sick and they're not coming, or, all of a sudden they have another wedding to attend and I end up with all this money back. What is my nice to have that I want to pull from that list and replace?
Yeah, I love it.
I like that. I
Are
think
there
that's why I
s
liked the brain dump that you said earlier. Because if you're just like, this is what I envision, bing, bop, boom, maybe lounge furniture, you know, would have popped
Yeah, or
up.
like
And
totally. Something that I feel like it's very common for people to overlook it is, well, I want like a really cool after party. Okay, tell me more about that. What does that mean to you? What does that look like? Is that we're taking everyone to the club or you just want a disco ball? Like, where are we on this club scene?
yeah.
Because those are very different priorities.
I
Mhm.
love it. Alright, so how does booking the big 3 actually reduce stress later in the planning process?
Oh, dear Lord, just get that, just like checking boxes. It's like every time you can check a box, oh, thank God that's done. Um, Depending on your timeline. So, here especially, and just me in general, like I work a lot with the Orthodox community as well. And
Mhm.
sometimes those timelines can be very short. From the moment they meet, matchmakers sometimes included, to the moment they get engaged can be 6 months or shorter. It can be like 3 to 4 months. So,
Wow.
it's wham, bam, bam. But we're talking about like Mondays and Sundays and Thursdays for the most part. So it's not as stressful. And the reach is not always as big for traveling guests. So that works out in our favor. But you kind of have to take your timeline and work backwards from
Mm,
there on your priorities and booking your most stressful things right out. So if it's going to bring you stress, get it out of the way if you can. Obviously, you don't know everyone who's coming the day that you book your wedding, but um, it can reduce stress by it's one less thing that you have to do. Now, once you book your photographer's not going to talk to you every day. They're not your planner. They are not involved in this until right before your wedding, but they will
Right.
want like who are the important people in your family?
mhm.
Who are, what time are we starting photography? And what are your expectations from your photos? So get that done. Have a good idea of what your vision is and don't be afraid to tell your vendors. Don't gatekeep that because the more you tell us, the more we can help you and the less you're going to be the less likely for you to be like unhappy with the results.
Yeah.
I
Yeah, like
love
you're
it.
not seeing the clear vision.
Sure,
Yeah.
exactly. Especially with photography. Like if you have in your head that you want a picture walking down that staircase looking backwards, you better tell somebody.
And
Because
you
if
better
we
have the
don't know,
venue.
that photo's not happening.
Better have the venue with the staircase too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
that
yeah.
too. All the
No
above.
staircase, no picture.
Alright, we're getting close to the end, but, what
Oh,
if a couple could take one planning tip away from this conversation, what should it be?
um, focus on your big 3. Focus on
Okay.
your big 3. I know it's like the theme of this whole call, but that really is so, so important. Don't prioritize decor prioritize really important vendors. And those important vendors are your venue, photo, video, entertainment.
Mm, love it.
And then right after that, if you really want to like pull in like fourth one, let's call it hair and makeup, but really focus on venue, photo, video, entertainment, because they cannot book more than one wedding in a day. And if those are your
Yeah.
priorities and you want these options, get them done. It's not like
Yeah.
you have to really focus on it. Just be like, great, love that photographer. Cool. Talk to you in 6 months and we'll figure out the rest of it. But like you're locked in for the date, done.
It's
Same thing with
checked
the
off.
band. Yeah, don't
Mhm.
worry about what song you're doing tomorrow, but book your band.
Love it. All right, Sarah, thank you for all the great advice. But where can couples learn more about you and your approach to wedding planning?
Sure. I mean, I guess I'm like you could find me on Instagram and on the website. Shoot me an email, shoot me a text, smoke signal, carrier pigeon, like pick your poison. I mean, my
I
my
thi-
Instagram is Sara Landon Events, just SARA. There's no H in there. Don't forget that. SARALANDON Events, EVENTS. Spell events.
I love it. And
Uh,
folks, we'll have all of Sarah's information in the show notes, and we will be sure it'll be in there as well, so you can get all her information. Be sure to check that. So, Sarah, you've been a wealth of knowledge. We really appreciate you being here today.
And a
Absolutely.
good time.
Yes.
I'm a good time, guys.
All right, folks, that's it. Thank you for listening to another episode of Now That I'm Engaged, How to Get Married. We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Bye.
To our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Now That I'm Engaged, How Do I Get Married podcast.
Brought to you by Fantasy Sound Event Services.
I hope you enjoyed listening to this episode. Please get in touch with me or August if you have any topic you would like us to cover.
Or if you're struggling with your wedding planning, please be sure to submit a question to podcast@fantasysound.com.
I encourage you to check out our other episodes on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast. And if you're a fan, we'd love if you would subscribe to the podcast and leave a review.
It helps others find our podcast so that they can learn from our guests too. And to everybody listening,
Happy wedding planning!